up, everybody? It's your girl Victoria. What's up? It's Friday Beckett. And this is Beckett, if you please. And we are here with
My name is Jacob.
Jacob. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
You are just so cute too. The skin is glowing. Can I get the skin here?
Yes, I can.
I wish I could get a close up because
Right.
Thank you. Yes, I'll actually. I can send you some shit. Honestly.
No, for real. I mean, I've been needing it.
So today, Jacob wanted to come and talk to us about, queer issues. I don't know. Which word do you want to use?
Yeah, no, it's whatever you feel comfortable using, honestly. The word queer is supposed to be, to me, it's supposed to be inclusive of our allies as well. So if you feel uncomfortable using the word queer, by all means use LGBT. It's not going to offend me or anything. I just use it as an umbrella term to include what LGBT excludes with that.
So that makes sense now.
So, can you explain like why you prefer the word queer and not LGBT? Because I know a lot of people are just used to just saying LGBT.
Yeah, it's not that I prefer it over LGBT. It's just that I would rather use it than using LGBT, because using LGBT a lot of the times kind of excludes our allies, and when I mean our allies, like I'm talking about our colored people of color, so like our black allies, our black women, our black trans women in general, honestly, tend to feel ostracized by the term LGBT that I've talked to. So I just use queer to be more inclusive, so I'm not like labeling anybody. I'm just like, you fall under like my home, like something that you should feel comfortable with, like whether it's your sexuality, whether it's your gender, like just something like, that's what queer kind of means.
And speaking of gender, like what do you identify as? Because nowadays it's just so many things. So it's hard for me to keep up. I'm gonna be honest. So please inform me.
Yeah, dude. So I identify as he, him, cis male.
Okay.
I recognize my privilege in that sense.
Okay.
Also, if y'all want to tell me what y'all identify with as well, just so I know to like say the right pronouns around you, if that's okay.
I mean, just the she.
Yeah,
she,
I mean,
okay.
Right. So when you say it's cis him, like explain that, because
cis.
Yeah. Explain all of that.
So cis.
C-I-S?
Yes, CIS.
Cis. Okay.
Yeah. That is just somebody who was born and identifies with the gender, the genitalia that they were born with.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was born with obviously a penis, and then I also identify as a man, and I don't go by she, him. I feel comfortable in my gender that I was assigned with at birth.
Okay.
So like I'm cis in that sense, because people don't always get that. Speaking in the trans community, like these people have to go through transitions to become who they are and who they want to be and who they were born to be. So like I have to recognize my privilege in knowing that I was already born the way that I wanted to be born, or the way that I knew I should have been born.
So we're going to get more into what you're speaking on, but I just want to say for anybody that's tuning in, make sure you send this to a few people so that way we can really get the conversation going. We want to see some comments. We want to read your comments and make sure that you're part of the conversation.
Yes.
And also, we want to get to know you a little bit more, okay? Like more like in the personal sense. So what is it that you do? What is it that you like to do? Go ahead.
Yeah, right now because of COVID, I'm not really doing much of anything, honestly.
What is there to do with COVID?
Usually I'm out with friends. I'm like, there's a really big club scene, not club scene, but like bar scene in Austin. And I'm always with my, the bar scene out there is pretty dope. But I'm usually with my friends out on like Fridays and Saturdays, having fun. Recently, I haven't been doing much, if I'm being completely honest, putting me like in a weird headspace sometimes. But I definitely do want to get on that again, start doing something productive in general.
Sometimes it's good to just do nothing, you know, so you can really figure out what it is that you like to do, because, I mean, I still have to work or whatever, but I do have a little bit more downtime, and I've been able to like figure out what other things I can really excel in, and just like, you know, I don't know, like get zero in on it and like capitalize off of it. So I feel like this is the perfect time to do it. You don't really have to force yourself, like just you know, kind of take it day by day.
And gravitate
Yeah.
towards it slowly. Yeah, that's true. Because I feel like that too. But this time for me, it's been productive. I feel like I need to be more productive because I'm not doing anything. But the break of not doing anything when COVID happened, but anyway.
No, yeah, it was definitely nice. Whenever the break first happened, not the break, but like whenever the lockdown first happened, I was like, this is kind of nice.
Yeah, we needed that. Everybody needed that. Yes.
But like I haven't done anything since the lockdown happened.
Were you cuddled up, booed up? Are you in a relationship? Tell us about the status. What's going on?
I'm not in a relationship right now. I don't really want to be in a relationship right now because I just got out of one, and I don't really want to have to go through putting energy into someone else right now. It's a little hard, especially if I'm not completely in love with myself right now, and I'm still like trying to become more in love with myself. And in order for me to love someone else, I have to love myself. So I can't. It wouldn't be fair to either party if I was in a relationship right now.
That's very honest.
Real, right?
Yeah.
What steps are you taking like to get closer to that? People out there there's people that need to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm taking any steps to get closer to loving myself like that seem like that I can like teach or tell people to practice, but mainly just like admitting when I'm wrong. I'm really bad at that. And then I tend to like lie to myself and create those ideas for myself, and I really need to be better about not doing that. So that's something that I'm constantly trying to check as much as I can, but it's so hard to, since it's a habit. Like it's something that I have to break off. So like I guess breaking bad habits.
Yeah.
So what active steps are you taking to try and like, you know, break it off?
I mean, like I have a journal in my phone and on my iPad.
Yeah,
it's not really a journal. I just like type out like when I fucked up, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to think about like doing that rather than sitting there and being like, oh, I'm so sad that I fucked up again. I'm just like, how can I do something about that next time?
Reflection is everything.
You need that. So reflection, like thinking about growing up, your family, how was coming out, how was it realizing who you are, what you like, and how did your family accept you?
So, from a young age, I kind of knew I was gay. Like, I already had a feeling, like, I saw boys on the playground, and I was like, oh, they're cute. Like, yeah, so I already knew I was gay. My parents took it really well. My mom was a little thrown off by it. My mom, her dad, my grandfather, is a pastor, a Protestant pastor. I believe it's Protestant. I'm not really, like, a religious person, but I believe he was a Protestant pastor in Oklahoma. And so like on her side, she kind of took it rough just because like with religion and sexuality, like there's a whole idea behind it, you know what I mean? My dad, fortunately though, took it as amazing as any parent could have taken it. He grew up, and all my aunts and not all of my aunts and my uncles on his side, but a lot of them are gay. So he already knew what he was in for. Like he was just like, yeah, I mean, it's not really anything big. My brother and my sister were fine. I remember this is a funny story, but I remember telling my sister this one time. I was like crying at her bed. And I was like, Michaela, I have something to tell you. And she was like half asleep, half awake. And I was just like, I'm gay. And she was like, is that it?
Duh.
Like, she was like, duh, like I didn't know that. So that, like, I definitely am fortunate, very fortunate and blessed to have those people around me.
And then it's crazy because when people do come out, you realize it's a big deal, but it's not as big of a deal as you would think it is. You know? So that's good. You're blessed to have people that love you.
I agree. Thank you.
So you said that your aunts and uncles are gay. Well, some of them are gay. So, you know, like there's the argument that, you know, you're born gay. So do you feel like that was like a genetic thing? Or do you think like, you know, that really doesn't mean... Or you've never thought about it?
I've never even thought, I mean, like, I've definitely thought about it. I'm not going to sit here and say I've never thought about something like that before. Because, like, whenever you're in the process of, like, coming out to yourself, like, you're thinking, like, what happened? Like, why did this happen to me? I'm proud of who I am, and I wouldn't change it, and I would live this life over and over again. If I had to choose between being straight and gay, I would pick gay every single time. Because it brought me around people who I love and I respect, but at the same time, whenever I was first coming to terms, I was like, nobody wants to be gay. I mean, like, that sounds awful, oh my god, but like, nobody would want to have a harder lifestyle. So it's clearly not a choice. I'm not choosing to like men. You know what I mean? Or choosing to like whoever I like. This is just something
I feel that too.
Do you know what I mean?
I would never choose this.
I wouldn't choose it.
Can you elaborate too after you finish?
Yeah, I mean that's basically it. I wouldn't choose to do this because like it's made my life harder. Like it's made me like talking to people harder. It's made how I talk about my life to people harder. Whenever I was first coming out, I had to hide behind like, oh, I'm like bi, or I'm like slightly into girls, or like I used to like pretend to try and like girls. You know what I mean? So like I wouldn't ever want to go through this, but if I knew then what I know now, and I was still in the process of coming out, I would like to tell myself like, yo, like you're gonna have a beautiful life surrounded by beautiful people. So you just like wait out, just like wait for a second, because it's going to get a lot better. But I don't.
Yeah, I do want to hear what you said. Like. You just
I mean, it's just like anything. Like, I don't think, as far as people thinking it's a choice, like, I don't know why somebody would choose something to be harder for themselves.
Right.
Because it does, like he said, like, dating, being in relationships, especially, like, for me, like, I date a lot, mostly outside of my race. So that just, like, it's kind of, like, layers to it. So, like, it just really doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know why somebody would choose to make things harder on themselves, to choose to feel unsafe in some situations, and to have to look behind your back sometimes if you're walking down the street with somebody that you're in a relationship with, or eventually having to fight for, being able to adopt a child if you're married, or even something like, not being able to donate blood.
Yeah.
Things like that you don't really think about, like, you don't consider, oh, I could go get blood, or I'm just going to go get blood today. That's not an option for us. And one thing that I saw, I think it was Anderson Cooper had COVID. He can't go donate his plasma. Things like that I think are really not important to think about per se, but like it just goes to show, like, I don't know why somebody would choose that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to like add something to like the conversation. So we know people are like kind of like there are people who are sexually fluid. So like, would you say that they are making a choice? Because, I mean, for them, like some of them, they may have grown up just having an attraction to one thing, but then something happened, and then now they're like seeking, like I don't know what to say, but they're like exploring or whatever.
I think every experience shapes who you are. You're always changing as a person. You're always someone different than you were yesterday. So to that point, I still don't think you make that choice. I think that you had an experience and you're like, I really like that experience, or this makes me curious about this.
Yeah.
And then you have that and you either like it or you don't. I don't think you choose to like something.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, go.
No, okay, sorry. And let me ask another question to that. So like, the people who do have those experiences where maybe it is like a one-off experience, are they considered gay or like bisexual or whatever?
I consider myself gay, but I'm just like going to tell you a little bit about my business. I like sometimes involve myself with swingers, with heterosexual couples, but I still consider myself to be gay because in my life, like if I picture myself in marriage, I don't see that with a woman.
Gotcha.
I see that with a man. But that doesn't mean that I find like women like unattractive per se, but it's more than like that. It's more about attraction. Like when you see, you know what I mean? Like it's a whole thing. And I've told you that too before. I consider myself more effeminate than others, so I couldn't be with a woman because I don't want another feminine energy.
I think it's like hard to talk about that type of thing, like saying like what we're gonna identify as, and this goes back to like me like using an umbrella term like queer, because there are several things that you can identify as. Queer just like covers the basis if anything's been missed, because we tend to forget so we have like genders, obviously you have female and male, but like you have other genders in between those genders, like people identifying in different ways, the way people look at people differently because they don't have like a normal identification marker or an identification word pronoun. like, that's kind of the whole idea behind, like, using the word queer. Just to bring it back there real quickly, like, that's the whole idea about using the word queer. Because using LGBT, like, helps us, like, put a marker on a spectrum, and we tend to forget that sexuality is a spectrum. And, like, there's more to it than just, like, since you had sex with the guy, like, are you gay now? Or, like, are you sexually fluid? Like, did you choose to be sexually fluid? Like, it just, like, covers all the bases using that type of language. Does that make sense? You know?
No, yeah, that makes sense, actually, the way that you put it, as it being, like, an umbrella term. I forgot what I was going to ask, so.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
But no, I understand what you're saying in a sense, but I don't want to get in your business, but, like, he said swingers, so can we just get a little naughty real quick?
Yeah.
So, like, have you, can I just ask, so, like, your sex life and all of that, digging into that, have you ever been to a swingers club? Are you into that kind of stuff? Are you a monogamous type of person? You want a relationship? Like,
yeah, so.
I know this is getting into your business.
No, that's fine.
No.
That's fine. No, I don't know if I would be into it.
Okay.
I've never experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
Never been to one. I'm not saying I wouldn't be opposed to it though.
Mm-hmm.
It would just have to be in the moment. I'd have to feel the situation out.
Mm-hmm.
With relationships, like monogamy is obviously something that it's like a standard put on us by society saying like this is what a healthy relationship looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I don't think I can be monogamous. It's just like that's just how I feel. I mean that's just how I feel, like, cause like I don't know, like I see people all the time and like I really think that men are like beautiful creatures. Like I really do. Like they're like sexy and like I can't just be with somebody the whole time. I would be lying to myself and I'd be lying to them.
So do you think that's because you're young, or do you think that's never going?
I have no idea. Okay. I would have to be older to know.
And how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it might be just a little phase, but then again, I hear a lot of people say that because relationships are hard, and then you get your feelings involved, and sometimes it's just easier to keep it.
Well, I'm not saying like I'm opposed to relationships. I mean, like right now, obviously, I can't be in one. I can't see myself in one. But like I would be fine with being in a relationship. I would like maybe something open.
But you in an open relationship?
Yeah. Like that would be something I feel like I can see more.
What about polyamory?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's not enough.
No. I just don't think that would be something that I would want to do. Like be polyamorous.
Yeah, we got it. Sometimes a little mommy made me.
I remembered my question. Okay, so you said that there's other genders. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, oh God, I know enough about it to tell you that there are other genders. I can't sit here and say that I know everything about it though.
Gotcha.
I definitely
do your own research.
Yeah. So definitely like something like, and I feel bad saying this, but like I don't know enough about gender because I am privileged in that I am cis and I don't have to worry about gender. But I recognize my privilege. That's why I like to use umbrella terms like queer. That's me like trying to make up for the fact that I don't necessarily know everything about gender. But what I mean, I guess like what I know about it is that not everybody that looks like me will identify like me. Like I can identify as a female right now if I felt that in me and in the middle of transitioning, or even if I didn't want to transition. However I feel, some people don't even go by she, him, they go by z, them, they. You know what I mean? So like it's just.
What is that though? Like I don't.
That's just like pronoun. Those. I couldn't.
So it's like multiple within. You get what I'm saying? Like.
No, so it's basically like I said. I don't want to sound like a jackass because I don't know 100% about this, but I do know that there are other genders, and like I said, sexuality is a spectrum. I know there are other genders like in the binary. Like it's not black and white, you know? So they, them would be like a pronoun. So like you say you go by she, her. They, them would be like, I don't call that person she, her, or him, he. I call them they, them.
So I just want to say something on that. I think a lot of times we consider gender to be very biological and very physical, and it is. But what I think a lot of people don't always think about, and it's hard to wrap your head around it, but like for me, I don't feel that, so I don't know what it's like. But like to look down and to not feel that you match what you are here.
Right.
I think that that's a lot of it. I think gender for some people that are having, you know, that aren't necessarily considered that, like they don't fall within what they have, it's a mental thing too.
Yeah.
You know, like you look down, it doesn't match you. And it's hard for us to understand that.
Yeah.
I can't say what it's like because I don't know, you know.
So that's called gender dysmorphia.
Body
Yeah,
dysmorphia.
body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, you know, people get enhancements to their body all the time because they're not necessarily comfortable in their body.
Right.
A lot of women have breast reductions because they're not comfortable with the size of their breasts being large, or it's uncomfortable. It's physically uncomfortable. It can be physically uncomfortable for somebody to have a penis if they don't feel like that should be there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like having to even like touch it, because like you will have to eventually pee and do things like that. Like to just like look down at it every time and be like, this is not what that
It's
is not supposed to be there.
It's very like I know people who it has really affected their mentation.
Wow.
But so okay, like for me, it's like a lot of it is mental, but you can't describe it as like a mental illness because that to a lot of people like is an insult. So I mean, it's hard to kind of like, because if it was discussed as like a mental illness, I feel like a lot more people would be more understanding of it because they would understand that you need to transition in order to heal.
Yeah.
But because it is seen as like an insult, it's like it's kind of hard for people to, I mean, I guess like care. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't want to like switch past, but that's kind of like the race thing with what's her name, Rachel Dolezal.
Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, so, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, when she really thought she was a black woman,
Mhm.
so people were like, she's crazy, she has a mental illness and all of that. Technically, that's just how she felt. So I can understand in the same context a little bit.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think, you know, it's just I can't really, I don't know what it's like personally. And I understand what you're saying, like it's not considered a mental illness, but you know, being gay was considered a mental illness at one point.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think we have to consider like there's constantly something progressing. And like I said, I don't know what it's like to look down and not feel like I belong. Like that's not right. You know what I mean? I just I can't there's a lot of that I can't speak on myself, and I don't know if you don't have that. I feel like it's just hard to speak to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's also like I think the reason it's insulting is because like, and the reason why I don't fully understand, I guess, the perspective you have with Rachel Dolezal, is that her name? Yeah, is because there aren't camps for that. Like there are conversion therapy camps for like gay people still to this day right now, and for trans people, because that is like treatment for mental illness, like conversion therapy, stuff like that. That's not a thing with race.
Well,
like,
I'm just comparing the sense.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
in
okay,
a
okay.
sense,
They're
like,
parallels.
yeah, like they're parallels. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of the same. Like you feel the feeling of it. Like she felt like she was a black woman,
Mhm.
so
Okay.
she acted out that. Somebody that feels that's not supposed to be there, they feel that way. So you know,
Okay,
deeper
I see.
inside.
I think people sometimes think that people who aren't comfortable with their physical gender are confused. And I think that's part of it, is that they're not confused. They know what they
yeah,
should be.
yeah.
You know,
get that.
but it's hard to understand that. I think we're confused about it. I don't think they are.
Mhm.
That's my
I
perspective
agree.
of it.
And honestly, it's because I'm not gonna lie. They throw so much at us. The media, there's so much information, so much knowledge. Every day it's another terminology we need to know. You know, so I mean, I'm thankful that people are actually willing to talk about it and not be like, well, you should know, like inform yourself, because some people you have have people who are like, how don't you know this? You know, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm not in that. Well, I'm not gonna say I'm not in that community as far as I have a brother that's trans, or I have this, I have somebody next to me in my life that's explaining it to me. So, thank you for not being.
And I feel like people
God.
should really be like mindful of that, because there is like a disadvantaged community like in every sense, and we're not all like, you know, running to go and like promote that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you do have to take your time in explaining if you want people to be more like accepting of it.
And honestly, sometimes having conversations with people who aren't well informed about this topic at all, tend to be some of the most productive conversations. I learned more then than I would learn with somebody who knows just as much, if not more than I do, if that makes any sense. Because that's a different perspective that I get on the topic that I will not get from somebody who already knows about this shit. You know what I mean?
That, yeah.